Donald Trump insisted that tariffs would make this country rich and bring prices down. He comes into office, he imposes those tariffs, and guess what? Prices go up. Still, Donald said, no, the prices are going down, even though we walk into grocery stores and see otherwise. Donald Trump continues to insist that tariffs are the answer and that prices are coming down. But today he did something kind of interesting. He went in and tweaked those tariffs, cut those tariffs on coffee, beef, and citrus in hopes of bringing the prices down. Donald Trump just admitted tariffs don't work. Donald Trump just admitted that prices are in fact going up. So what he's been telling us and what he continues to tell us is an absolute fucking lie. Now that's not a surprise to me or you. We know he's a pathological liar. But do Trump-la-fuck see this and realize what the fuck are you doing? What's going on? Donald Trump knows tariffs don't work, and he's trying to find a way out. I'll bet you he's hoping against hope that the Supreme Court finds against them so he can walk away and say, well, I tried. It was going to work, but the Supreme Court stopped me. Donald Trump fucked around and found out with regards to tariffs. He didn't have to do that because we all knew what was going to happen, but apparently this dumb fuck didn't. So he's tweaking coffee, beef, and citrus. I don't know how by how much or if it's really going to have an impact on prices, but whatever Donald Trump does, remember, he will fuck it up.
Republicans are now trapped in a Sophie's choice of their own design. Many of them campaigned hard on the promise to release the files. And at first, the whole base was with them and the wind was at their back. But now that Dear Leader has been frantically insisting that the Epstein files are nothing but a hoax for months, half of the base is no longer in the release the files camp. Instead, they're in the we're the rats and we're going down with his orange ship camp. So no matter which vote they choose to take, they're screwed. They'll have alienated half of the base no matter what, and painted themselves as either disloyal to His Royal Highness or running cover for literal predators. The one and only way that they can escape this fate and avoid their party ripping itself in half from the inside out is by taking that vote but keeping it private. So you can rest assured that there are a whole lot of minds on the right hard at work right now looking for their way to do exactly that. And the rest of us? Well, we need to be prepared to fight like hell to make sure that that vote happens publicly. Epstein's crimes may have happened behind closed doors, but the vote to finally get his victims justice should happen in the sunlight.
Well, look at that. Even when engulfed in scandal, the Trump administration still has time to take care of their rich donors. Talk about time management. The Trump administration announced today that it was formally withdrawing a plan by the Biden administration to require airlines to pay passengers cash compensation when U.S. flight disruptions are caused by carriers. This rule would have required airlines to pay $200 to $300 for domestic delays of at least 3 hours and up to $775 for longer delays. This is something that is in place in every other peer nation in the world. Why are they withdrawing the proposal? Because they say that it would result in, quote, unnecessary regulatory burdens. Let me translate that for you. It means the airlines would make less money. They actually said it in their statement. It would impose significant costs on airlines. And this is far from the first way the Department of Transportation has tried to take money out of our pockets. They also announced in September that they're considering rescinding a Biden-era regulation requiring airlines and ticket agents to disclose service fees alongside airfares. They also plan to reduce regulatory burdens on airlines. Again, that means make them more money by writing new rules that will make the definition of flight cancellation a little more fluid so that we don't get refunds as often. Now, airlines, of course, have praised the action to rescind the Biden plan, and they are pushing the Trump administration to go even further. Guess how we know that the Trump administration will go along? Because we know that Delta and United both donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural committee, and he treats all of those donors super well. Months earlier, Delta's CEO had said that the incoming Trump administration would likely be a, quote, breath of fresh air in terms of regulation after Biden's transportation department, which actually tried to make airlines pay passengers when they screwed up. Big corporations like United and Delta love the Trump administration because they are taking away regulations that cost these companies money but help consumers like us. And it's really important to talk about this. This is one example of thousands of the Trump administration using small rule tweaks to take money out of our pockets and put it in the pockets of big corporations and billionaires. But don't worry, if you're a rich person or a pedophile, he'll take good care of you.
I'm not sure people understand that what Donald Trump is about to do is going to be the most corrupt act he has ever carried out in his time in office, this administration or his first. The calling of this investigation, which has already been closed because there's no more evidence to see, as per Pam Bondi herself, using this investigation to go against the will of Congress and thereby going against the will of the people, is going to be the most corrupt thing this president has done yet. Now, Republicans could give him some cover by not voting for the release of the Epstein files and not putting him in that position, but I don't think they will. And the question is, what are Republicans in Congress willing to do about it once this happens? Because at that point, it's possible the only safe Republican seats in Congress are ones that aren't up for re-election. Let's be honest. Even some of the most reddest seats in Congress will be flipped in the midterms. They just will. The people are not going to put up with this shit anymore. We just saw red seats flip in the last election that had been held red for over 40 years. And what's about to happen is drastically worse than what's happened so far. So the Republican Party will have to decide, do they want to save themselves or do they want to save Donald Trump? Thanks.
Did President Trump just ensure the Epstein files will never see the light of day? It's definitely possible, and it happened right in front of our eyes today. This morning, President Trump posted this to his social media page, directing the Attorney General Pam Bondi to launch a brand new Epstein investigation into the convicted sex offenders' involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions. He says, all arrows pointing to Democrats. A few hours after that, Attorney General Pam Bondi said, "Thank you, Mr. President. I'm on it." She announced the appointment of a U.S. attorney from the Southern District of New York to head up that brand new Epstein investigation. So how in the world could these two social media posts hide the Epstein files from all of us? Well, because no prosecutor, even your local district attorney, would never release any files related to any ongoing investigation. That would compromise witnesses and evidence and their potential cases, and it just doesn't happen. And now that Trump has ordered a brand new investigation to open into Epstein, it is very possible that even if Congress votes to release the entire Epstein file through that discharge petition next week, the Department of Justice will say, nope, can't do it. We've got an ongoing investigation. Now, there are a ton of questions about this move by the president and the attorney general. First and foremost, just a few months ago in July, Attorney General Pam Bondi released this short memo saying the Epstein matter was closed because after an investigation, the DOJ and the FBI found no more credible evidence of any more co-conspirators associated with Epstein, and there was nothing more that the DOJ would release to the public. Remember that? So if that was true then, and there was nothing more to the case back then, why does the Attorney General now think it's appropriate to open a brand new investigation? Secondly, President Trump has said repeatedly this whole Epstein matter is a hoax. So if that's true, then why does he want an investigation? Usually, you don't waste millions and millions and millions of taxpayer dollars on a hoax. And third, if President Trump does believe a new investigation is warranted into Epstein, why only look at Democrats? If you're going to open it back up, why not look into everyone who is allegedly involved? We will have to see what happens next week when the House votes on this discharge petition. It's still very possible that if lawmakers overwhelmingly vote to release the file and they get that veto-proof majority that I talked all about in this video, it's possible that the political pressure will force the release of the files. But then again, you just never know.
And it's too late, baby, now it's too late. Though we really did try to make it. That's what MAGA needs to understand. We tried to tell y'all motherfuckers that Syphilitic Sid was who we always knew he was. Now, my FYP, I have been tagged in so many videos of all these MAGA people just having complete and total meltdowns. When y'all aren't trying to find a way to rationalize whether or not everything that came out in those emails is true, or you just can't believe, I can't believe it. Oh, no, stay over there. We tried to tell y'all. Y'all let your racism, we let your hatred, your xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, arachnophobia get the better of y'all. Stay over there. He is your problem. Your problem. Those of us who voted for the nice lady, the nice educated lady who's not on anybody's flight log, y'all made your choice. You thought it was bad that gas prices were still high, eggs are still high, y'all can't get no Swiss cheese. Oh, and by the way, they just released an article that said there's going to be 107% tariff on pasta. Pasta, y'all ain't going to have no spaghetti. Y'all ain't going to have no SpaghettiOs. You did this. You did this to yourself. And now you find out that all that and when he pretended to perform fellatio on that microphone, y'all own this. Y'all own every bit of this. Y'all glorified and magnified that man so much, and now you find out that he was on his knees. I love this for y'all. And it's too late, baby, now it's too late. Okay. Good boy.
Donald Trump could not control himself. He was crashing out and literally lunged at a reporter right there saying, quiet, 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 as reporters were asking him questions about the appearance of his name repeatedly in the 23,000 Epstein emails that were released from the Epstein estate. That Wall Street Journal analysis found that of the 2,600 or so email threads, Trump's name appeared in over half of the email threads from the 23,000 Epstein emails from the estate. The reporters were asking Donald Trump questions. Can he give us more information? Quiet, quiet, quiet. Let me just show you one more time what he did. Here, play this clip. Quiet. And then while Donald Trump was on Air Force One throughout the evening as he left Washington, D.C. to go back to his safe space in Mar-a-Lago, who knows, maybe he'll do another great Gatsby party or another synchronized swimming party or whatever. He would continue to crash out. It was post after post, and he was just saying some of the most heinous and horrific things, like Republican Congressmember Thomas Massey, who tragically lost his wife about a year ago or so and just remarried. Donald Trump attacked him for remarrying, and Donald Trump with 3 wives, Donald Trump who has been found liable for sexual assault, Donald Trump who is on tape saying that he grabs women by their genitals because you're rich and he gets away with it. Yeah, Donald Trump posted this message. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump who's covering up a child sex trafficking, Donald Trump who was Epstein's best friend. I could go on, by the way, but here's what Donald Trump posted yesterday. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr. because of the fact he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and question mark. His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser! Exclamation point. And even this MAGA supporter, Evan Kilgore, he's been channeling what we're hearing from a lot of MAGA supporters, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who Donald Trump kicked out of MAGA officially last night. He said, she's gone. I will not support her ever again. I revoke my endorsement of her. She's a raving lunatic. I'll do a whole other video on that this morning, by the way, so make sure you check back in and watch my video of Donald Trump kicking Marjorie Taylor Greene to the curb. But here's what a MAGA supporter named Evan Kilgore says. He goes, Donald Trump just attacked Thomas Massey for getting remarried recently after his wife tragically passed away last year. He then uses it as an attack on Massey to imply he's going to lose the next election. This is actually disgusting. Donald Trump has lost me. That's what it took. Donald Trump's a disgusting, vile human being. That's what it took, but okay. Donald Trump posted that he's withdrawing his support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and calls her a raving lunatic who keeps on calling him over and over again. Then throughout the evening, Donald Trump would post.
We have major news right now. Donald Trump's evening has gone from bad to worse as one of his top foils, Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, who Donald Trump has been calling to investigate concerning an alleged connection between Hoffman and Jeffrey Epstein to distract from Donald Trump's own connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Well, Hoffman came out tonight and said, release the files. Donald Trump wasn't expecting this. He's essentially calling Trump's bluff. And everyone needs to know this because right now what we're seeing is even the people that Donald Trump claims are connected to Jeffrey Epstein, well, they're coming out and saying, we want all the files released. Donald Trump, meanwhile, isn't saying that when he is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. Spread this everywhere. So let's start. Reid Hoffman's statement. Reid Hoffman, Trump should release all of the Epstein files, every person and every document in the files. I want this complete release because it will bring justice for the victims. I want this complete release because it will show that the calls for baseless investigations of me are nothing more than political persecution and slander. I was never a client of Epstein's and never had any engagement with him other than fundraising for MIT. The call for an investigation is an obvious ploy to avoid releasing the files. Simply release all the files and expose the people who had both deep and ongoing relationships with Epstein. I will do everything in my power going forward to advocate for the release of the files, to get justice for Epstein's victims, and to promote the values of truth our great country was founded on. I refuse to bend the knee to Donald Trump and his slanderous lies. Now, this is not a statement made by someone who is theoretically facing bombshell information in Epstein's files. If his name was in these files criminally, he would not come out and say, release all of the files, every person and every document in the files. Now, we do know, based on public reporting, that Reid Hoffman, who is a big Democratic donor and is a longtime foil of Donald Trump's, also the co-founder of LinkedIn, he had met Jeffrey Epstein in the past. Like he says in his tweets, he was engaged with Epstein during a short period of time, I believe it was in 2014 or 2015, concerning fundraising for MIT, the school, the university. There is public reporting that Reid Hoffman was on Epstein's island once as part of the fundraising efforts. What we don't know is any other connection Reid Hoffman has with Epstein, and no survivor thus far has alleged that Reid Hoffman has done anything wrong. Now, that doesn't mean he hasn't, right? I mean, the evidence needs to be released. But this is what we know publicly right now, and it comes as Donald Trump is demanding a complete investigation of Reid Hoffman. And over the past 3 days, Donald Trump has been running from answering questions about Jeffrey Epstein, but tonight he actually answered it for the first time.
President, what did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, who you know, that is Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years, but he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You got to find out, what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah,
if
Jennifer,
there's nothing incriminating in the file,
Venezuela, sir.
Why are you acting as if...
Quiet, McGee.
You see, he says, quiet, quiet. He almost like shuts the reporter down, doesn't want the reporter asking any more follow-up questions about Epstein and his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And so we're now in a situation where Donald Trump is flailing over answering publicly about the Epstein files. Now, I want you to take a look at this next clip.
But if they had anything, you don't think they would have used it before the election? They would have gladly used it before the election.
Sir, speaking of the election,
Jennifer,
Why were you?
They didn't have anything, they would have gladly used it before the election. He goes on to say that he does not, quote, know what they, referring to Democrats, Joe Biden, put in it, the Epstein files after the election, seemingly admitting that there's things in those files that are not good for the president of the United States. And so we're in a situation now where everyone is demanding answers from this president. Everyone. And I do want to read you this statement from a Epstein survivor. That this statement was given to me. Mr. President, how dare you publicly torture the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein by calling our suffering a hoax, then minutes later direct American taxpayers to fund a sham investigation of your choosing into this abuse. The files stretch across 5 administrations, where then is the investigation into the Bush and Obama eras. Why did Pam Bondi and Kash Patel testify before Congress that the inquiry had already been completed? We know the truth. The American people deserve to know it too. What moral and just society ever permits such a disgrace? Enough is enough. I pray that Congress finds the fortitude and strength that my fellow survivors and I have found to stand up to the injustice plaguing our country and to release the files. And taking a step back here, you have everyone demanding the release of the files. You have Reid Hoffman, who is Donald Trump's foil, the person that Trump wants prosecuted for some type of connection with Jeffrey Epstein, demanding the release of the files. You have the survivors demanding the release of the files. You have Republicans in Trump's own party demanding the release of the files. You spot a trend here. Everyone is demanding the release of the files. Now, you know who isn't demanding the release of the files? President Donald Trump. And ask yourselves, why? Why doesn't the president want the files to become public? What does the president know? What does the president know? Essentially, that he doesn't want the public to know about. And that's something that everyone deserves answers to, especially in this moment. And it's not, it is just shocking to me where we are as a nation right now. It is truly shocking to me where we are as a nation. And what's even more shocking is the way some Republicans have kind of come out concerning Jeffrey Epstein, just trying to excuse the fact that he's having sex with minor children. And the latest disgusting remark, Alan Dershowitz.
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile.
Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Are you serious? That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. And finally, Donald Trump just did something I never thought would be happening. He just withdrew his support for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, just withdrew his complete support for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I need you to read this along with me. I'm literally getting it as we speak. As we speak. Hold on a second. I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. Over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, he goes on, essentially, wow, all I see is wacky Marjorie do is complain. I'm stunned. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Spread the word. Follow for more.